What is going on, everyone? I am joined with Sergey of SkynetGen and Marv Black, the number one Cowboys fan. We are finally starting this series where we talk about our top 100 movies. We did several months ago, back in January, which is, over 5 months ago. We had it where we gave each of our top 100 films and then we filtered through it and we tried to, come to an agreement of at a top 100 list. It was not easy. In fact, it was very difficult. And then we took a huge hiatus. I'm going to be honest. I think it's because Marv did not want to watch our first film, which is 2001:
Don't
Space Odyssey.
I call BS on that. Don't throw me under the bus. You could have did it whatever you wanted
So,
to.
so what's going to happen is we're going from the numbers all the way to A to Z. So, of course, we're starting with 2001: A Space Odyssey, which, for those of you that don't know, it's a film that came out in 1968, and it is all about a mysterious artifact that is uncovered on the moon. A spacecraft manned by two humans and one supercomputer is sent to Jupiter to find its origins. This is a beloved film. It is 149 minutes long. It is rated G, believe it or not. And it came out in 1968, and it is beloved. As you see, it has an 8.3 out of 10 on IMDb. It's currently streaming on HBO Max. But this is one of those films that it had an impact on me growing up. I know one of the big things about this film is I actually have my old review that I wanted to bring this up, which is probably Marv's thoughts now. So May 24th of 2013, Sergey knows this story. Basically, what happened was when I went to Disney World, I got a book. It was like top 101 movies. And one of them was 2001: A Space Odyssey, which I had kind of heard about, but this is one of those films that I saw because of that book. And I had no clue what I had experienced. So I'm just going to read it real quick. Although 2001: A Space Odyssey is a crazy movie that's too long, has a sluggish pace, and one of the most confusing and thought-provoking endings ever, 2001: A Space Odyssey is still good. It has groundbreaking ideas and special effects. Its use of imagery and memorable music is pretty cool as well. The camera shots and set pieces are also really good. I just felt that the plot took too long to develop. Honestly, the first 20 minutes and last 20 minutes lasted a little too long. Ultimately, I would say watch this movie, but only once, which is hilarious looking back now because I've seen this film so many times. But it just goes to show that people can change. And I guess I'll start with you, Sergey, first, because we actually, I know we saw it at the Bryn Mawr Film Institute in 70 millimeter. What's your relationship with this film? Like, where you
I've
remember when
I've had
first?
I mean, I saw it probably like 7 years ago, and I had a very similar experience to you, where I thought, you know, it's an interesting. Obviously, it's definitely mind bending. It has some interesting moments, but with the pacing and where it was going with the story, I was like, it was hard to really stay attached to it, especially when you're watching it for the first time. You don't really appreciate like what it's actually trying to, what themes it's addressing, and what it's actually after, because you're just figuring out as you're going. And then you got to be in the right headspace to kind of watch it. Obviously, watching a lot of the other like space travel movies, they're a lot faster paced. There's more action. There's you kind of set a different expectation for the pacing. So I think that was just like I went into with the wrong mindset, and like I appreciated the movie, but I didn't really fully grasp it and as much as I do now. And I also probably gave it like a C.
See,
Um,
okay.
and I was
You've
dozing off
seen it three
moments.
times total, right?
Uh, Possibly four, possibly. Yeah. Yeah, but now it's one of the most influential films. Like when I'm thinking of movies or anything, like my mind instantly goes to that movie for whatever reason. Like even with the short film doing, like for that reason, because I'm doing a lot of visual storytelling, my mind instantly gravitates towards that film that uses a lot of visual storytelling and doesn't spell things out and use exposition. And it also treats its audience with a lot of respect and doesn't spoon feed answers, and gives people the opportunity to interpret what they're watching and build on that with each viewing experience.
I agree. And even films that are geared towards children, like Wally, like the bad guy in Wally, the computer, it literally looks just like Hal. Toy Story 2 early on with Buzz Lightyear when he's doing the mission, when he's pressing the keys, like it's the the famous note in this film. So it's definitely an influential film. I mean, it arguably changed the medium, I would say. Like I would say 4 sci-fi films that changed the medium in the 20th century. Metropolis, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Star Wars, gotta mention it, and then Blade Runner. Those are the 4 sci-fi films that when I think of the 20th century, those are all ones that
yeah. Metropolis definitely is something that I'm like wowed by because it's just so ahead of its time. But again, that is even a bigger struggle to get through because it's a silent film, but still very impressive. Yeah.
Marv, I know some of the background with your relationship because I remember when you and I first became friends. I remember that it was I believe the 50-year anniversary, so it was an IMAX. And I remember you told me that you were going to be seeing it. And at that point, again, we'd been friends for I think a month or two, so I didn't really have like a gauge on if you would like it or not. But I remember you absolutely hated it. But you rewatched it today. Would you say you liked it a little bit better this time around?
No, I hated it even more. Did not like it at all.
Then why'd you look up information about it?
I didn't necessarily look up information. It was more so I was just trying to see like why people like it so much.
Okay.
And I really can't even tell you why now after even looking. I really can't. I can't tell you even after listening to you two talk about it. I really can't. But like I said before, this is just me. I'm sure nobody agrees with me. I'll just be the one guy who's like, I just don't get it. I won't say it's bad or anything. I'll just say I don't get it. I really don't. But, God bless Stanley Kubrick. May he rest in peace.
Yeah, I think I can speak for both Sergey and I and the millions of people that love this film. It's because it challenges viewers. It poses questions and it trusts audiences to put things together. And it's not an easy film. I'm not going to sit here and say like, yeah, it's an easy film, but at the end of the day, that's why I love filmmaking. I love it when a filmmaker is willing to trust audiences and pose big questions. You don't need to have answers all the time. I mean, at the end of the day, think about it. Religion is like a huge phenomenon that everyone, gravitates towards, or most people, and there's not really answers to that. Same with philosophy. Philosophy is all about probing people, and again, philosophy, there's no real answers either. But that's just art in general. There's no real answers. It's just people asking questions, and I think that it's a good thing. It shows curiosity. It shows just, I don't know, for me, a sign of intelligence as well. And I just think with Stanley Kubrick, with what he was able to do with this film, it's insane to think about it. Also, what's even more insane is the fact that the film did so well financially. But I will say this, I don't know if Marv came across this. I think the first week it came out, it wasn't a success. But what happened was people started noticing that people were coming into the theater like super high. And then people started realizing, oh, it's probably because of the last 20 minutes because of, the psychedelic imagery. So then they started advertising that aspect of the film, and then it started making more and more money and ended up recuperating its budget. So it's very fascinating just finding out about that. I'm like, okay, that makes sense because the last 20 minutes are, I would say, the most influential part. I mean, Marv doesn't like Interstellar, but you and I, we both love Interstellar. And that film, it's a homage in many ways to 2001: A Space Odyssey. Like, it's clearly a love letter that Christopher Nolan is showcasing. Like, hey, I have a lot of respect for 2001: A Space Odyssey. It influenced me. And that's something I want to mention to Marv. Like, would we have Christopher Nolan if it wasn't for Stanley Kubrick? Because he has gone on the record many times saying that a lot of his work was influenced by Stanley Kubrick, specifically 2001: A Space Odyssey. So, just food for thought.
So what's I guess we open it up to questions.
Well, I wanted to first we have a couple people. Bootzilla is in the house. He says, hello, fellas. Bootzilla, good to hear from you, man. Very curious to hear your thoughts on 2001: A Space Odyssey. Film Kid is in the house. He says, hey, I'm watching 2049, so when I finish that, I'll come back. Love Blade Runner 2049. We'll be very curious to hear your thoughts. I guess one of the first things that we'll tackle with 2001: A Space Odyssey is, I guess we've established Marv does not like the entertainment value, but we all love filmmaking. So let's talk about the filmmaking. I'll start with you, Sergey. What's the first thing that, in terms of the filmmaking aspects, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of this film? Like, what's the one aspect where it's like, wow, that's the most impressive?
I think of the technology of the time and what they were able to accomplish, um, with practical effects or models, or especially since it wasn't really tackled like on that scale before. So I'm just impressed with how it's, how they're able to immerse you in this world, and and present this world to you in that time period. And it's still, looks good, obviously. Um, I think the other thing is, just the themes, how well they've also maintained and still are relevant even after what, 50 some years, right?
And
So
with the rise of AI, I feel like if anything, it's gotten more relevant.
yeah. So I think that's the first thing, or at least the first two things I think of.
What about you, Marv?
I would say the visual presentation. I think that if you were going to watch this movie, it should be an IMAX or the largest TV you can find, maybe 75, 80 inch, and watch with the best sound. I suppose. Uh, I think that I love I love the way they have the aspect ratio. I don't know which aspect ratio it is, but it's full frame, at least for the most part. I really like the middle section. Filmmaking wise, I really liked what they did with HAL 9000. That in that sense, I really love the I guess his I don't know if you can really call it this, but this is going to sound dumb because we're comparing apples and oranges. But do you know who Roger Jackson is?
Sounds familiar.
Roger Jackson is the guy who voices Ghostface, right? So when I would listen to How 9000 speak, it was almost like not that they were the same, but I got those vibes. Like this I
What's
guess you
your
can call.
favorite sci-fi movie?
Yeah, it was something like that. It was something like I just got that like, oh, this evil robot means business. And I just kind of like that vibe of it.
Anthony Hopkins for Silence of the Lambs, he was heavily inspired by Hal, like
Yeah.
in terms of the voice and everything.
And well, here's the funny part. I actually really love Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter. So
Oh, it's
you get it,
perfect.
you get a sense of what it meant to me to to hear how, and then like the scene where like he like attacked the guy in space. I'm so trapped in here. Like I'm so trapped in here. But like
That
when
was
he
a
like
great scene with the reading of mouths
yeah,
and
Oh yes, that was brilliant.
well
Especially seeing that in a theater twice, going in the intermission with that, it's like, oh no, it's like, oh no.
yeah.
Especially
yeah,
the most recent time when you and I, Sergey, when we went, I was like, wow, that went by so fast. And even the second half, I was like, it was 2.5
well
hours. Like I feel like
I
each time the pacing I love more and more.
I personally just love the way how he got rid of the guy, but then he just went back to the shift like nothing happened. I was like, wow, that's awesome. Like this robot means business. But what I realized was that the robot I thought that I don't think he malfunctioned. I just think that he saw them as trying to sabotage the mission. So he disposed of them. And then it kind of doubled when you see Dave try to dispatch him. You see him beg for his life like a human would. I thought that was a nice touch. That was a really good piece of direction. I love how Stanley Kubrick kind of like tied that together. uh I really liked how I felt bad that he died. That sounds dumb, but I really like the middle section of this movie. The middle section really was fun to watch. um that's pretty much it. The visual presentation. I like the IMAX. It had that when you watch Disney Plus, they give you that IMAX enhanced option. I felt like that watching this. Like I felt like I was like, I'm watching an IMAX movie in my living room. It's awesome. So that's all I have to say about it.
I mean, that's a lot.
I,
That's that's more than you say about a lot of films. So I mean,
Well,
He said the word "like" a lot about this movie.
Yeah. I was gonna say this doesn't sound like a happy star movie for you, Marv.
I hated
well,
it even
I gave
more.
it I gave it 2.5.
Oh, this is revenge for best man, isn't it? For me giving that 2.5, isn't it?
You got
I was
it.
gonna say I knew it.
You got it. But at least it's not a half a star.
I was gonna say, yeah, I remember back in the day when you gave 2001: A Space Odyssey half a star. I'm like, how? Like how? I understand watching it as like a kid, such as how I watched it, like as a 16-year-old. It's like, what is this? But now that we're older and we want visual storytelling, it's such a breath of fresh air. It's almost like the Tree of Life. Like the Tree of Life, I hated as a young teenager, but now I love it. If anything, I'm welcoming that film in. And I just think 2001: A Space Odyssey, I think my favorite aspect is probably the cinematography. I think it's insane, especially watching it. I love the 70 millimeter presentation, but watching it on 4K physical media, like it is, I think, still to this day, my favorite 4K physical media that I have. Like Marv, I know you and I were talking the other day about the difference between like Blu-ray and 4K and how some people can't really see the difference. Well, 2001: A Space Odyssey is one of those films where I would put in and say like, hey, here's the difference, because it's a huge difference in quality.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible, just the camera movement, and also not only the camera movement, but just the camera angle choices. And like, I love the scene where the stewardess, she's like walking up and the camera's just like still, and you just see her walking like up. It's absolutely stunning. And to this day, I really don't know how they pulled it off, because I'm like, I know it's visual trickery, but it's amazing to experience.
Mm-hmm.
But let me take off the spoiler talk now. I think we should also talk about the influence that this film has had, because, I mean, it's 57 years later. We're still talking about it. We've mentioned how it's been in some animated films. Christopher Nolan was heavily inspired by it. Trying to think off the top of my head some of the other filmmakers that were heavily inspired by this film. Oh, well, Terrence Malick, pretty much all of his filmography was inspired by this film, especially the creation scene in the Tree of Life. I think what else. I mean, actually, I could probably pull it up on IMDb, because that's what I love about IMDb. They'll let you know like all the movies that paid homage, like either paid homage or certain people were said that, hey, I was inspired by this movie. Let me see real quick. I'll get to the comments section. So we have a couple comments. Oh, actually, sorry. As the you-know-who would say, switching gears, let me pull this up because this is important to talk about, at least for me. So it did pretty well at the Oscars. It received one win, which was a groundbreaking award. It was for Best Visual Effects, which I'm pretty sure they didn't give out at this time. I think this was the first time that they did, and then also got nominated for Best Art Direction, Best Writing, and Best Director. It, to this day, blows my mind that this film didn't get nominated for Best Picture, especially since when you look at what won Best Picture, it was Oliver. So this is also, you know me, Sergey, in terms of history, this is also what I find fascinating, because 2001: A Space Odyssey, it came out in the late 60s. And the first part of the 60s, there was still that era of like 1950s filmmaking where it's like, more conservative values in terms of like, the approach of everything. But then the late 60s, that was like the new wave. You have such films like Bonnie and Clyde, The Graduate, 2001: A Space Odyssey. And I just think it's very fascinating that a film like this, it got some attention, but not enough to where it's like, hey, people look back and say, hey, this should have won Best Picture because it was one of the nominees. Now it's just one of those films that people look at and say, wow, this should have been nominated. And it was probably pretty close because people gave it Best Director. But it's wild to think that this didn't get a Best Picture nomination. Also, with the comments, let's see, got a bunch. Godzilla says 2001 is a 5-star movie for me. It is in my top 10 of all time. Actually, same here for me, Godzilla. So I'm with you. Andrew Lay is in the chat. He says, hello, good to see y'all. Andrew, as always, it's good to hear from you, man. Can't Articulate says, hello, y'all. Can't Articulate, I hope you're doing well. I couldn't tell in your comment if you were kidding about 2001 Space Odyssey or not. I hope you were. If you weren't, definitely rewatch the film. Andrew Lee says, sorry, Marv, I was going to gift you a Letterboxd patronage like Chad and Sergey, but I thought you didn't use it, and there were 2 accounts.
He only gives half-star reviews anyway.
Marv just started using it a lot, which is awesome. Honestly, when I see Marv, like when I see him, I'm like, all right, awesome. He's using it. That's great. Because you can look back and say, oh, yeah, I saw this movie on this state. I haven't seen Hereditary really getting reviewed, though. I saw it one time.
Have you seen any of my other reviews? I don't have any others. I don't have many, but I did make a couple. Like
I saw you gave Gladiator 2.5 out of 5, which I think we'll be talking about. I forget if that was in our top 100, but we'll save that for another time.
No, I had actual reviews on there. You didn't see my reviews?
I'll look at it later. I don't think I did.
Okay, never mind.
No, you're good. Angela said, actually, I was emptying out my New Zealand bank account before leaving for Vietnam, so I bought it for y'all, full disclosure. Dude, I appreciate it. Honestly, I definitely see the appeal with Patreon, and it's nice not having to wait for the end of the year to see who's your most watched actor, what films you've seen the most, and also the percentage of first-time watch versus rewatch. This year, full disclosure, it's been one of those years where I think my percentage is almost 50-50. So, which usually means that if that's the case, it usually means that I'm a little bit more depressed than usual. That's what I've realized because I was looking. I think it was, or no, I think it's the opposite actually. Because 2018, when I was like super depressed, I think it was like an 80-20, which was insane. But that was also because I went to the movies like an unhealthy amount. Like I think I went to the movies like 170 times. Like that's insane.
That is not insane. That's a healthy amount.
170 times in 1 year.
In 1 year, that's fantastic. What are you talking about? I used to do that all the time.
I mean, I haven't done it since. It's tough now. Like I think I go like 60, 65.
Yeah. That's like every other day.
Yeah. To be fair, the first couple months that year I wasn't working. I was looking for work. So when the first half of the day I would be looking for work.
You were technically working at the movie theater, but just not getting paid for it.
Exactly.
I was working at the movie theater.
Can't articulate. Yeah, I only liked Hal parts of the movie. I have it on Blu-ray, so I'll rewatch it down the line. Man, definitely rewatch it.
Don't rewatch it, CA. Do not.
No. Marv's saying you got to rewatch it. He's saying it. See, he's ecstatic. Andrew Lay, 2001, a great film, pure art. First time I saw it, I hated it. Too slow, too artsy fartsy, too confusing. But I couldn't get it out of my mind, so I rewatched it. I loved it so much the second time. Yeah, man. Honestly, it's funny too because it just came to my mind. One of my favorite TV shows, if not my favorite TV show, Mr. Robot, was also heavily inspired by 2001: A Space Odyssey. In particular, not going to spoil the finale of that show, but the final 5 minutes of the show, it's a very clear homage to 2001: A Space Odyssey, and it's very satisfying. It's very satisfying. Look at Marv. Marv, are you experiencing a drive-by?
No, I'm just walking.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say, if so, we might be going viral in a little bit.
No, I'm just walking.
I was gonna say, I hope not, Marv. All seriousness. Yeah, so I'm trying to think what else to talk about 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's tough because Sergey and I both love it. Marv's slowly coming around. We're at 2.5 out of 5.
I only gave you that, just because I knew you'd press me about it later. I don't like the movie, but I'll say I'm glad that you guys love it so much. I hope I'm not going the wrong way.
Can you see though? Because even in the comments, like people are talking about like why they love it. Do you understand why?
Do I understand why? No, I hear why, but I just watched it, and I even try to like gauge why people liked it afterwards, and I just felt like I don't get it. Now, if you said that you liked it, I would be like fine, but the fact that it's considered like the holy grail of cinema, I don't get it. I don't think I'll ever get that. But it's just me.
I'll break it down to you like this, Marv. Got Chad's coming out. So Marv, film is visual and audio, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. Show, don't tell, right?
Yes, sir.
Does 2001: A Space Odyssey, does it do show, don't tell?
Yes, sir.
There you go. That's why people love it. Next.
I mean, it's also like the study of human life and its relationship with technology and how you discover it and how it consumes you.
Yes.
I mean, the movie in like 2.5 hours covers literally from the very beginning of human life and discovering technology to, well, whatever the end is according to the movie.
Yes, but I had to break it down as simple as possible. That's why, Marv, so many like film buffs, film critics. That's why so many people love it, because especially in an IP-ridden world now where we're constantly being told what we're supposed to think. It's refreshing to see a film that actually looks at the medium with respect and says, like, hey, put 2 and 2 together, or not even 2 and 2. Here's 2 plus fill in the blank. You can do it yourself, and it makes it very interesting, as opposed to what you see is what you get. That's never the case. Like I always experience something different when I watch 2001: A Space Odyssey. I was saying it before you actually came on. Let me put this on real quick. Spoiler talk. This time around, when I watched it with Sergey, the Stargate scene, I never noticed it before, but when he's going through the Stargate scene, you briefly see, for like a frame or two, you can briefly see the lead character, like in, the 5th dimension that he's going through. I never noticed that before, but it's a nice little detail because it's indicating that in many ways, I almost interpret it as him looking at his life flashing before his own eyes, and that's why you see the different changes to him. Like you see him being in the spaceship, you then see him in a very very scary situation where he can't move, but he's witnessing himself, but he doesn't realize it later. Like it's a very frightening scene, I think personally. And then you see him getting older, and then you see him looking at his past, but you don't see anything. So I guess my whole point with that is that Interstellar, I know you're not the biggest fan of it, Marv, but it's nice because that little thing that I noticed of the lead character, it's in many ways, I feel like Nolan probably noticed that too, and he paid homage in Interstellar by having something similar where, Anne Hathaway is putting her hand out because she doesn't know it yet, but it's Cooper's hand, and she holds on to it. So it's like little things like that about the film that even on how many viewings, 12 viewings, I keep finding new things to appreciate about it. And I don't know, that's what I love about it personally.
Okay.
Did you want anything, Sergey, before I take the spoiler talk right now?
I don't think anything that would be spoiler.
Yeah. Again, that's just in terms of the spoiler talk. That was me kind of breaking it down like a lot, but I just wanted to simplify it for Marv as to why people love it so much. Like that's a film when I think of film classes and analyzing. That's one of those films that I think about. And honestly, I think in one of my film classes we did watch it. I know Night of the Living Dead was one of them. American Beauty, Trainspotting, just films that when you watch it, you can't help but appreciate the craft. And all these decades later, it's held up incredibly well. Like the fact that Stanley Kubrick and other visual effects artists had those matte paintings and created those stars by hand, like that's amazing. That's insane, but that's amazing. I think it took them like a year to work on those matte paintings. And it shows because there's so many great details to it that when you're watching it, I mean, this film, I could have made this clickbaity title. This film is so great, the fact that you have a bunch of nutcases that think Stanley Kubrick faked the moon landing. That's how great this film is. Mic drop. Did you know that, Marv?
No, I just know that he had everybody destroy all the work they did on it after they finished so that nobody can make it a sequel out of it. That's all I read.
Which they did end up making.
They did. I didn't see it yet. I know you saw it, Sergey, shortly after.
It's all right. I guess it's as good as it could possibly be, considering what 2001: The Space Odyssey is. But I personally didn't like it.
I'm always nervous to watch it because I've heard it's good, but not that I would compare because I would still look at it as its own entity. But I don't know, man. Like I just love the ambiguity of that ending with the baby. I just
You don't need it. You don't need it. It does try to build on it, and you just don't need it.
You can't build on it. Like Alien, I understand why they made in this case, several sequels to Alien. But something like 2001: A Space Odyssey, it just doesn't feel needed. But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I'll be wrong. Can't Articulate says 170 times is rookie numbers. There you go, Marv. Can't Articulate agrees with you.
Hey.
Angela says, I rearranged my top 4 months ago, and I think they're set now. Last Samurai, The Irishman, 2001, and Amadeus. I respect this. I like this list a lot. I know you saw my top 10 Hans Zimmer scores, so I'm sure you were happy that I had Last Samurai on there. But yeah, this is a really good top 4. Marv, I don't think you created a top 4 on Letterboxd, did you?
I created a top 10.
Oh, okay. I'll have to show you how to do the top 4. Angela, I'm still amazed at how 2001 is devoid of religion, yet hints at so much about how much higher beings play a role in human evolution. Honestly, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. And also, the politics of the film is also fascinating, where there's so much like secrecy, where they don't want other countries to know information, how things are kind of under a guise, so that way they don't seem inept or not knowing. And I feel like that's something that is very human, where it's like nobody wants to admit, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't know what I'm talking about. Like nobody wants that, I feel like. And the fact that this film kind of depicts that in a very accurate way, I think, is very fascinating. I mean, even the astronauts, I mean, they're at a point where they're like, how's never failed. Like we're beside ourselves. We don't know what to do other than just shut them off. Like that's how we want to fix the situation. Just shut it off, I suppose, actually hitting it head on. And it is fascinating. So I agree with you, Andrew. What are your thoughts there, Sergey?
On what, the politics, or
the politics of devotion of religion, yet at the same time hints of it within the film.
I don't think I thought about the religious aspects of it. I did think about the secrecy, and obviously like the space race, and how everyone's trying to be like the first to achieve, I guess be the superior race, and get to the moon first. Like there's always been this competition of having the best technology and being the best in the world. So it was just interesting to see each country kind of try to. Well, the thing is it's always in space. There's always everyone's trying to race to have the best technology, but there's no actual wars, political wars like we see down here. Everyone's trying to be the best. They're trying to push the boundaries of technology, and that's always what I've respected about people in that kind of in that field. And you kind of see it here. They still respect one another, even if they are against one another technically.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, they don't seem hostile. They just seemed kind of reserved with the information, or the intel, I should say, that they want to give versus the ones that they want to hold back on. I mean, I love that whole meeting scene where they're talking about it, and it's like, okay, there's a little bit of exposition. You're like, okay, I feel like I'm in the know. And then afterwards, it's like, yeah, actually, that's not what's happening. So this is what's happening. You're like, wait a minute, that monolith from hundreds of thousands of years ago, that's what they're digging up. And it's not even on Earth. Holy cow. It's like, okay, you have so many questions. And I feel like the monolith almost represents like religion. Like you could arguably look at that as a religious artifact in some ways, or what people could perceive as it. I wouldn't be surprised if not that this would happen if they did a 100 Space Odyssey in the future, but it would be interesting to see like that monolith, how people treat it as like a religious figure. I could see it. I mean, look at it. Every religion has like something that's like an artifact.
Something of like a higher power that they can't explain, that they just associate with God.
Yeah. It's fascinating.
I mean, I always also saw it as like the ever-growing technology, more like symbolically, maybe not so much as a godly figure.
Yeah, but that's also the great thing about it, is that you can interpret it many different ways, which is also why so many people to this day talk about the film. Marv, what's your thoughts on this?
On the monolith?
Yeah. Which, speaking of which, your screen looks like a monolith right now.
Oh, I had to turn it off because it's dying, so I didn't want it to cut off on you.
Oh my goodness.
I'm walking to the bus terminal to charge it right now. So give me like 5.
You know, I swear, when we talk about Avengers Infinity War, it's gonna be like all bright and everything. Marv's gonna be ready.
100%. Yeah, it's gonna have a power bank.
Sorry, guys, my
well, I'm also not home either. I'm not home. If I was home, this wouldn't be a problem. I got my charger on me.
You're good, Marv. Andrew says, I have a friend who coincidentally agrees with me that the Stargate scene is basically meeting God. Honestly, the last 2 viewings, Sergey knows this, the last couple times I've watched it on, you guys know it, the candy emoji, and it has felt like a religious experience. It legit is otherworldly. And that scene in particular, the Stargate scene, it blows my mind every time. I'm just like, this is insane.
Yeah. I'm always thinking, I'm glad I'm not there, because that just seems like an insanely scary experience, just falling through a hole, endlessly just falling, and being like stretched apart and just torn to bits, basically. Like if you would actually fall into a wormhole, theoretically.
Let me just real quick. That's the thing. You're going from like this.
Yeah, the gravitational like forces are just like killing.
And then all of a sudden it opens up and you're like, oh my goodness. And then he goes from that to then pretty much stuck in a wall almost. Not even a wall, but you can't even really see him at some point, because he's just, again, it's like indescribable. I am glad that Kubrick never explained like any of it, because it brings about discussion.
Yeah, the first time I was just like, who is this old man, and how much time has passed? Like, where has he been this whole time? Where has he just been falling through a wormhole for like years, and this is where we're cutting to now?
Yeah.
Do you want me to talk about the monolith?
Oh, now we're talking about the last 20 minutes, Marv, the Stargate scene.
But you asked me about the monolith. I was about to tell you, but we didn't. We never got into my
we can talk about the monolith too.
If you don't want to talk about it, I'm just saying. I was about to say it, but it's like never.
That was his favorite character. Let him talk about it.
Never mind. Talk about the last 20 minutes.
No. We'll start. We'll have you talk about the monolith for a little bit, and then you can talk about the last 20 minutes.
It's fine. But I'm about to be inside the bus terminal. I'm about to charge up. Hold on.
I think you should talk about the monolith, Mark, because your screen looks like a monolith. I can play the 2001: A Space Odyssey music if you want, if it will set the mood for you.
No, that's okay.
Don't worry, Marv. The next movie you'll be more happy about.
What's the next movie?
One of your favorites, 3:10 to Yuma.
Ah, okay.
I actually just got a notification. I think it was last week. Yeah, I think it was last week. 5 years ago, I saw 3:10 to Yuma, so I'm overdue for a rewatch. So
I'm overdue because I actually want to rewatch it.
It's a great movie. I'm excited to talk about that one. Marv, what are your thoughts on the last 20 minutes of 2001?
My thoughts in the last 20 minutes is I feel as though it was infinite loop, and that was the restarting of, I don't want to say time, but of the I guess the perception of time through Dave's viewpoint. Kind of how about the it's kind of like the Isaac Asimov story, The Last Question, which so the long story short, it shows you kind of how 2001 does. Basically, humans dominate space and time, but even throughout all their achievements, they still don't know how to stop the ending of the stars. So by the time you get to the end of the story, you realize that they were destined to not die but become one as a supercomputer. And it said the end of the story, let there be light. That was the last question. He said, how do I stop the stars from dying? And then the computer asked itself, okay, how about this? Let there be light. And it started over. So when you see the space baby thing, when you see him get to Earth, I look at that. People thought that was the destruction of the planet. I looked at that as like the restarting, like it was all going to start over in a allegorical type of way, not a literal type of way. But that was my thoughts.
What did I tell you, Sergey?
Progress.
First time he watched it sober. Second time he watched it the way it was meant to be seen. My man, Marv, that's a very interesting take. See what I'm saying? This is what film's all about. Discussion.
I mean, what? Well, I didn't do anything different. I need
Yeah,
it.
but we're discussing it. That's awesome. No, I very interesting takes. I like it.
Well, I don't know if you ever read that story, but it's a pretty interesting story. Uh,
Oh, that's not your own story?
no, Isaac Asimov. Isaac
Yeah, I've
Asimov.
heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Oh
the
no, I
last
thought
the
the
last.
breakdown though. That's your own, right?
No. That's the last question. That's Isaac Asimov.
Oh.
And so so actually when you talk about the last 20 minutes, I actually think about that. I think about how throughout all our achievements and all the things that we've accomplished, we still didn't. Well, that part's irrelevant. Main point is we get to the end, and it was interpreted as a restart. That it was going to all be a thing that we did all over again. And I did know there's something that I missed when I was watching it, but apparently there's a bunch of missiles in the orbit when the baby gets to the Earth, where the giant space baby gets to Earth, and he looks at it. Apparently, there's a bunch of missiles in orbit. I didn't see that.
I
Uh,
didn't see that either, to be honest.
No.
yeah, but that's what they said. They said there were missiles, and I guess the writer who wrote it with Kubrick had to explain like, no, that doesn't mean that he's about to use all those missiles to destroy the planet. He was saying that he did it by accident because his presence triggered them or something like that. It was interesting. It was interesting, but lo and behold, uh, that's my thoughts in the last 20 minutes. And as for the monolith, I looked at it as that was kind of how in Interstellar, where they, quotation marks, they left the wormhole for them to go through. I looked at it as the device. I don't want to say MacGuffin, but it was the device that kept this process to keep happening. The same way Cooper had to go to the library from hell, Dave had to go to Jupiter to investigate the larger monolith, to go through the gateway, the Stargate, to meet his older self, and then he, started the process in theory all over again.
And how, I guess, in many ways, how humans, it's a cycle. Reincarnation also is something that this most recent viewing I thought about, how with the baby
Check
it could also be
downstairs.
interpreted that the baby's coming down to Earth and is going to be somebody else, which means that it's not saying that this would be the case, because again it's up for interpretation, but baby comes down on Earth and everything, maybe it'll be like maybe it's Clark Kent, maybe it gets taken in, raised by a couple old people, and it's Superman. But I don't know, I was thinking about reincarnation too, and just the cycle, the human cycle, about how we a lot of times it's repetition. We do the same thing over and over again, and we make the same mistakes over and over again. And throughout
we
time,
die, we turn into matter, and then we bring more life into the world through that same matter.
We still go after the monolith. Monolith also could be interpreted as desire, like human desire. We all desire something, and it's very powerful. That's something also humans desire. And whether you're monkeys, whether you're humans at the peak of civilization in terms of like the space race, or in the far, far future, they all were seeking it. So that I think that's something also is just mankind's desire ends up being their downfall.
Their curiosity, but yeah.
Yeah, and also how far that curiosity, like it's always good. We mentioned it earlier, how curiosity is a good thing, how this film definitely poises that. But to what extent? Is there a possibility of having too much curiosity?
Yes.
Possibly. I mean, because think about it. If they didn't unearth it, what would have happened?
Curiosity killed the cat.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, I say that, but then I'm thinking about it out loud now. And the monolith, though, at the end, it was in outer space. Like, it wasn't just on Jupiter. It was, like, past it. So now that I'm thinking about it, it probably would have happened regardless. And I think that also could be tying into how we think of ourselves as the center of the universe, but we're not actually, and how regardless of what we're going to do, things are going to happen, and we're just going to be either a part of it or not a part of it. So I love this film. I really love the fact that it brings about.
I mean, it doesn't even necessarily have to be like an actual object. It could just be like a spark, an idea for people. Because the apes, they first discovered it after they discovered tools, or how to use bones as tools.
The violence.
And that was like then they randomly just saw the monolith. So to me, that was like the spark, the idea of what can we achieve with this technology or that we have now. Not so much to actually saw a physical monolith there.
Yeah,
like you said, it was like a godly figure. It was like it wasn't really present.
Well, especially since it shortly after, if I recall correctly, it disappears like from the apes, but then the apes discover it
ascends to heaven.
Yeah, it descends to heaven, but then not only that, you could also look at the monolith. Again, I know we were talking about religion earlier, but you could talk about it on a biblical level, where you could almost look at the monolith as like God, like the story of Adam and Eve, where it's like God came down to earth, he gave Adam and Eve all the stuff and everything, the tools for success. Then he disappeared, and then what happens is these apes end up, which if we interpret it as us, they end up killing someone, and then that ends up ruining things. And that's just like the Bible, Adam and Eve, like they took from the fruit of the knowledge that they shouldn't, the tree of knowledge that they shouldn't have, and everything kind of pretty much went to hell. So there's definitely some biblical stuff in 2001: A Space Odyssey, but to be fair, there's other religious iconography as well, but it's very subtle. Like, you have to dig deep into it. I mean, we're 50 minutes in discussion, and I finally thought about that, where I'm like, yeah, it is kind of like the story of Adam and Eve. But yeah, it's a very fascinating film. I mean, I definitely understand why Marv's not a big fan of it, but the fact that we were able to muscle out some discussion from him makes my day.
I don't know why.
Isaac Asimov.
Because that's what film's supposed to do. I would rather us talk about something for 50 minutes than us to see something and be like, it was okay. All right, we're going to Red Robin. All right, yep, all right. And then you forget about it. I would rather.
I'm not saying that it's not fun to talk about movies. I've always talked about movies. I love talking about movies. I could have told you this 7 years ago.
No, you hated that movie when we 7 years ago. I remember.
What, you 2001?
Yeah, dude,
I hate it now. I hate it right now.
But there's stuff that you appreciate about it now.
No. I could appreciate almost any movie. Okay, I want to be clear on that. I can appreciate almost any movie. For example, this has nothing to do with either one of us. None of us. Like, for example, I don't like anime, right? I don't like anime at all, right? I do have a group of friends who do love anime, right? And for them, I've tried to watch it, right? I've come to the conclusion it's just not for me, right? But if I wanted to, I could like sort of point out things that I like about it or appreciate it. Sure, I could. That being said, as a whole, I just don't like it. Like, for example, right? I told you I like HAL 9000, right? I do. I really do. I like HAL 9000 a lot. I also like uh, the uh, the cinematography. Like, I think that, and I can say this because I saw it in IMAX. I think the way they used the format was brilliant.
Yeah.
I can really say that. I really feel that way. I think it did it better than most movies today, and I'm sure you both would agree.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? But if you ask me, do I like the movie as a whole? I can't give you that. I watched it earlier today. Even talked about it last night before I watched it. I said, yeah, I have to watch this movie tomorrow, and I hate it. And me and my buddy laughed about it. He was like, yeah, I had to watch it a lot in high school, and I know it's a big thing, but I don't get it. It's one of those movies that I think is overrated.
But
And when I look, hold on,
that's
hold
something,
on.
not to cut you off, Sergey. I mean, not Sergey, Marv. That's something that I've had the discussion with Sergey and actually Kevin as well. A film doesn't necessarily, it's a bonus, of course, if a film's entertaining, but it's like if you're able to at least acknowledge like the filmmaking, if you're able to acknowledge like why it was such a big deal when it came out, or why it to this day still is, but if you're still not a big fan of it, that's fine. But it just goes to showcase the middle ground, because there's some films that Sergey and I both have seen where it's like we're not a big fan of it, but we still give it like a 2.5 out of 5 because we can see how much of an influence like something was
But that's the
versus
thing,
like
though. I can't see it. I've said it a couple times. I don't like, for example, right? You mentioned Interstellar. I'm not gonna lie to you, Chad. I think Interstellar is way better than this movie. I do. I think it's way better. I think for all the things that you guys are praising Kubrick for, I think Nolan took it and like did it like times 2 or 3, and
I
that's
I
coming from a
do
person who
rewatch
doesn't.
Interstellar more than 2001: A Space Odyssey. I will admit that,
it's such
because
a
there's more
different film
entertainment
though.
value. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's I can definitely see why someone would be more entertained by Interstellar.
But this is also coming from somebody who doesn't like Interstellar. You have
Yeah,
to.
which we've discussed before, and I'm gonna get I'm gonna be like this. I still can't believe you don't like Interstellar, but hearsay.
I'm going to watch it again because my mom loves it, and I told her I'm going to watch it with her to wash this movie out of my brain
Eh,
because that movie does this movie way better.
who knows? Maybe you'll give Interstellar more than I think
I
you gave
know that I
Interstellar
am.
3 out of 5.
I will take any movie that is supposed to be like this or trying to emulate something like this. I'll take any movie other than this. Like, I don't like ever want to see it again.
Would
Like,
you watch? Well, here's a question, because I know you're not a fan of this movie. Solaris 2002 or 2001:
oh,
Space
okay.
Odyssey?
Solaris.
Really? Because you said you hated Solaris.
I'd rather
Hmm.
watch Solaris.
I
Just
really do wish we had the 2001: Space Odyssey cinema score, because I feel like that would sway you.
See, the original Solaris is the one I would struggle with. Like that. That's a movie I'd be like, oh my gosh, I got to sit through that again.
The remake, Soderbergh's on the record for saying like, if you don't like it within the first 10 minutes, just walk out. And I guess filmgoers didn't get the memo because it has like an F cinema score. Like audiences hated that movie.
Solaris 2002 has a D.
Oh, I thought it was an F. It's a D.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take it. No, but it was one of those films that was like critically acclaimed because the filmmaking it is really good. I mean, Cliff Martinez' score. I listen to it like once a month, once every couple of months. It's a really really good score. But that was heavily inspired by 2001: A Space Odyssey. Even the original Solaris that
The
was
original,
heavily
yeah.
inspired by 2001. But all right, let me put this down. We do have a lot of comments. Let us see. But yes, Andrew, this I 100% agree. I can't articulate the moon landing is fake though. Good joke. No, I actually there's one of my friends, his old friend believes that the moon landing was fake, and I legit told him, I was like, no, it wasn't. Like, there's no proof. That's been debunked. That was debunked back in 68, 69. So the fact that it's almost 60 years later and people still believe that's insane. JK, there we go. Andrew Lay, what do you mean it's fake? I can't articulate. Ryan Gosling actually went to the movie like Claire Foy was at home. That's pretty funny. Andrew Lay, talking about that, is Damien Chazelle out of film jail yet? Yes. I believe his new film is coming out last year, I want to say. Not last year, next year, I believe. And I think it is a big budget. So very curious to see what he's going to be doing. Andrew Lay, next time Marv should use Chad GPT and amaze Chad with great original takes on movies.
There goes all the rom-coms.
Even Nicolette's like, Marv has a lot of romantic comedies on his list. And I'm like, that he does. I'm like, he's a sucker for the genre.
Do you not like romantic comedies at all?
I didn't say that.
Very few. Very few.
I'm just not a sucker for the genre. I like the genre. I can appreciate pretty much every genre. There are some genres I don't dip my toes in quite as much. Like anime. Anime is one of those genres where when I sit down and when I watch it, I like it a lot. But it's just a matter of sitting down and watching it. Like Perfect Blue. I own that. Sergey got it for my birthday last year. Love that movie. I think it's great. But it took me, a decade for me to finally sit down to watch it. And I think Ghost in the Shell was also similar. Like it took the remake to come out for me to finally watch it. So I do have some movies that I'm planning to watch. Like the one Sergey just saw. What was the name of it? You said it was really trippy.
The Belladonna of Sadness.
Yes, you said that's a Chad movie. So I was like,
you're going to like that movie.
It went up like even further on the list. So I was like,
yeah.
Okay, I need to watch this sooner. But
that's one of those movies like you check out like anime because it's so different and it's so like it just escapes that genre on its own. Like, I mean, if it's the 70s, really, anime wasn't really anime in the 70s yet, so it was just like a lot of experimenting.
Which is what the 70s, specifically for cinema, was. There was a lot of experimentation, which
I mean, that's definitely like one of the most 70s movies I've ever seen.
Up there with like Fantastic Planet.
Hey, Chad.
Yep.
What's up, Marv?
Even more so.
Can you tell me if this is asbestos? Hold on.
Oh, boy. I don't know what it is. It looks like a frog.
It's fucking scaring me, but I got to stand here so I can keep charging my phone.
Is that your dad's place?
Why are you fucking kidding me? No. Why would asbestos be in my dad's house?
I don't know. I wasn't sure.
No, Chad.
Charge your phone or
where did I say? Hold on. Where did I say I was going?
I don't know. Bro.
I'm surprised you're still walking outside.
I said I was going to the terminal to charge my phone.
Sorry. For a second, I almost thought about the bomb, and I was like, that was great, Marv. That made my day. Actually, that made my year. That was hilarious. Andrew Lake, Chad GPT, LOL, Chat GPT.
No, Chad GPT. That sounds better.
Can't articulate. Just gotta wait for 2002: A Space Odyssey for answers.
No, that was 2010.
Andrew Lake, the monolith is my role model. Simple, does nothing but chill in space, and has the whole world debate about for decades. Yes. Brings about a lot of discussion. Bootzilla, I can see why people aren't a fan of it either. It's an acquired taste. Great film is the perfect description for me. Agreed. Film Kid is back. Watched Smiley Face yesterday, and it was good. The solid stoner comedy by Greg Araki. Honestly, it's funny you mentioned that movie because that is on my list. I did a Greg Araki binge.
Hold on. Where's the
and he is a good director. He's not for everyone, but he's a good director. That film, Mysterious Skin, tore me apart. Great film, though. Godzilla. Oh, I thought it was a frog or a mini Jurassic Park dinosaur. Yeah, it looked like an animal, Marv. Godzilla peeking out to terrorize Marv. Film Kid Marv, saw your Letterboxd review of 2001, and I love seeing you active more that I follow you, even though I don't agree with a bunch of your opinions.
I appreciate the positivity. I really do, Film Kid. Thanks, man.
Marv, we love seeing you a part of the community.
Appreciate it.
It only took 7 years, but we're glad you're part of the community. And what's great is you can log, you can keep track. So now if I'm like, Marv, you didn't see a movie, you can be like, yeah, I did. I saw it on this date.
Yeah, I did. You got to follow me on all 5 of my accounts.
No, that's Snapchat. Marv, I'll have you know, in my phone, I have Marv new phone number 2. Marv, I think now I'm at like number 6.
Well, you can delete the other ones.
I thought you had like 5 phones though.
I only have one phone. Those are old numbers.
Got you. Well, you never know. Film Kit also, what was that 70s movie? Sergey, what was the name of the 70s?
The Belladonna of Sadness.
Yeah, I need to watch that movie.
It's a messed up movie, but definitely interesting.
Yeah, not tomorrow. 2 days from now, I'm gonna be 4th of July. A bunch of messed up movies I'm gonna be watching. I'm gonna be rewatching The Cell, which has a lot. That movie has a lot.
Did you just rewatch that movie?
I saw it for the first time, and Narcavage let me borrow his 4K, and I immediately picked it up because I wanted to make sure I got the slipcover. Because with Arrow Video, when they release something, if you don't pick it up within, I think it's 6-7 months, then they remove the slipcover, and then on top of that, they also remove like any collectible stuff. That's why Dark City I pre-ordered, so that way I got all that stuff. But yeah, The Cell I'll be watching it a little bit differently. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm planning to rewatch Sin City because it's the 20-year anniversary, so I'm gonna review that on my YouTube channel. But
are you gonna watch the sequel too?
I am gonna watch the sequel. I own that on Blu-ray, but I've only seen it one time. But I forget. Do you like Sin City? I know Marv likes Sin City.
It's been like 10 years since I saw it, but I remember liking it.
Wow. I saw
the second one, not so much.
It's definitely not as good, but there's enjoyment to be had from what I remember. It's been 7 years though.
And then The Spirit was just terrible. I
did hear that was terrible. I did not watch it, but I heard it was terrible. Actually, Marv, you'll appreciate this. I watched the I think it's called the green screen cut version of Sin City the other day, which is basically the entire movie sped up to 800, and it's just the green screen effects. And it's pretty cool because like the fact that the movie looks as good as it does, but it was all shot on green screens. I'm like, wow, this is really something.
I kind of don't like that actually.
Really?
I don't think they needed to do that. But
I think
it still looks.
He originally did that so that way it was like an inspiration for people that wanted to get into VFX.
I guess, but they could have did it without that. But it's fine, whatever. But I love both those movies.
I was gonna say those are Marv movies.
They definitely are. And
women barely wearing clothes.
I would always hope
lots of violence.
Always hope that like a Batman movie would kind of like follow suit and like take the mantle of like hard R kind of adaptation and like, you know, go for broke. That would have been awesome. But we'll probably never get that.
No, we won't. Because how are they going to sell kid toys?
Well, I mean, I have a perfect counter for that. The Joker came out. It made $1 billion.
Yeah, that's a good
Logan
point.
came out and won an Academy Award. Just
no, it didn't. They got nominated for an Academy Award. It didn't win.
It won one.
No, it didn't. You want to place a bet?
You can look it up.
You want to place a bet?
50 cents.
Man, let's place a bet. Let's place a $10 bet.
I said 50 cents.
50 cents. Come on, come on. $1.
No, I don't want to bet $1. I want to bet 50 cents.
Fine, we'll do a friendly bet. Watch, I'll pull up Logan right now. Now, it got nominated for one Oscar, which was adapted screenplay.
It didn't win?
I'm pulling up right now. 1 second. nominated. See,
Okay. Well,
could have won 50 cents.
well, the the good news is that means one will be taking a trophy home one day, and that can be the already Batman movie that we need to have today.
We'll see. We'll see. Andrew says, "Have you all seen the trailer for Project Hail Mary, Running Man, and Gagne? They're so good." I'll take this to start. I saw like 10 seconds of Project Hail Mary. Looks all right. I mean, I'll see it. Running Man, I have not seen the trailer. It's Edgar Wright. I know I'm going to be there day one. Gagne, I did see the trailer just because it's a minute, and I'm a huge Yorgos Lanthimos film, and it does look really good. Have either of you seen the trailers for these movies?
No, I generally don't watch trailers.
I was going to look at it. I guess I'll look at it later.
I don't think Gagne is a Marv film. Running Man seems like it could be. Project Hail Mary is definitely a Marv movie.
I like Edgar Wright, so I'm sure I'll like Running Man.
Yeah, I love Edgar Wright. So I'll definitely be there day one.
Yeah.
Film Kid 2049 went from perfect to masterful. Yeah, that's a great film. I love Blade Runner 2049. Andrew Lay, I need a new Yorgos Lanthimos movie every year. Honestly, love the filmmaker, but I need for that not to happen because I was gonna rank his work after Poor Things, but I couldn't because then I heard his new film was coming out within 7-8 months, and I was like, oh my goodness. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll wait. So what I decided is once Gagne comes out, I'm gonna film my ranking and then switch certain rankings and have that come out like a month or two later. That way I have it done and I'm in the clear. Because yeah, he does have films come out like each year at this point, and I love him as a filmmaker, but in terms of a ranking, it does make it kind of difficult. Film Kid, I got my tickets for Jaws and IMAX today since it's including with A-List. I haven't bought my tickets yet because I'm not sure if I'm going to be down the shore or not. If I'm down the shore, I'm probably going to watch it at the Tropicana, which we all saw Oppenheimer. So,
I mean, I'm glad I got my popcorn bucket. That was at least.
Yeah, I got mine right here.
Yeah,
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that, Marv. It's a popcorn bucket.
Looks nice.
Dude, yeah. I got my water lily pops. For, emulating popcorn. I saw some of the posters and read the plot synopsis for the Sadness film, and now I understand why you said it was dark. Oh, yeah, that's a messed up film. It's really good, though. Unless you don't like zombies. Marv, you would like the Sadness, though.
Never heard of it.
You have AMC Plus?
No.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I think it's on AMC Plus. I'm pretty sure, but you would like it. There's no zombie penises, so don't worry, you'll be good. I'll have you know, Marv, when we were live streaming, people were asking me like my thoughts on 28 Years Later. And I was like, I haven't seen it yet, but I was like, I know Marv hated it. Like he gave it half a star. And I was like, guys, were there any penises in it? And everyone was like, oh yeah, there was like a lot of like big ones. I was like, that's why Marv didn't like it. And we talked about it afterwards. And
but that has nothing to do with it. I keep telling you that. The movie just sucks.
If you go in expecting zombies, I'm sure probably people will be disappointed.
Yeah, that movie was something. Like I was not expecting to have tears in my eyes at like the end.
The
last 5 minutes. The last 5
I'm
minutes.
actually looking forward to watching it now since it's more character driven.
Yes, it's definitely more character driven. Honestly, what's nice is it's how I envision what IP work should be, where you almost forget the fact that it's a sequel because it stands on its own. Like you do not have to watch the other movies for it to work. It's similar to Blade Runner 2049. You could watch that movie on its own. You don't have to have seen Blade Runner.
Is it like a soft reboot where it's building to another movie?
It is building to another movie, but it stands on its own, in my opinion. Like, even the last 5 minutes, which is set up for the sequel, I can look at it similar to Across the Spider-Verse, where I can look at it as a way of like setting up, but also still feel satisfying. But it deals with some pretty interesting themes, like without spoiling anything. Like, I was not expecting it, but it was good. Definitely, it's definitely not a mindless zombie film. That's for sure.
Now I'm wondering whether I should see that or
Maya was
Jurassic
the first
World.
one, but that movie was actually good.
I mean, I like 28 Days Later a lot. I rewatched it in preparation for 28 Years Later.
That movie is awesome.
I mean, I'm surprised because 28 Days Later has a lot of male nudity. It also,
But you keep saying that. I don't know how many times I got to keep telling you. That's not why I
Lighthouse.
didn't like the movie, dude.
If we pull up all your half-star movies, there's going to be a correlation.
How many times he looked away from the screen?
I don't know how many times I can say it. That has nothing to do with it, man.
Don't worry, Marv. 310 Yuma does not have that, so we'll be good for next week. Sergey, you got to get a shirt. You got to create a shirt for Marv that says "I looked away," and it's just like an eggplant. Bootzilla, what can you do with 50 cents? Does that even get you a can of soda pop nowadays? No, which is why I think Marv
can't even get a can of beans.
Yeah, I think a can of beans is like 69 cents.
Yeah.
Can't even buy a can of beans to reenact the Lighthouse with Marv. Film Kid, I agree with the hard R-rated Batman movie. And also, I have an idea for one location film that is very, very similar to Rear Window. That's awesome. Honestly, it's good to use Rear Window as like an influence because that movie, from a filmmaking standpoint, is excellent. Need to get Marv to watch that. Film Kid, I was talking about the anime sadness film. Oh, gotcha. Can't articulate. Chad, 3.5 stars for F1 is way too low. It's more deserving of rewatch than 2001: A Space Odyssey. Wait. We got to look at the facts. 3.75 out of 5.
Yeah.
I enjoyed F1 a lot. I even told Sergey, I was like,
yeah. It's a very formula-driven movie that's enjoyable.
Exactly. I think Marv
better than Gran Turismo, 100%.
And better than Top Gun Maverick.
Well, yeah.
I just think it's funny because Tony Scott did Top Gun, then he did Days of Thunder, and then Joseph Kosinski did Top Gun Maverick, and now he's doing a racing film, F1. So, but for me, I would rewatch 2001: A Space Odyssey much more than F1. Like, I'll definitely rewatch F1 in the future, but again, it's a very enjoyable film.
I mean, two different experiences. One's definitely more entertaining and thrilling, but both of them are tense. I would say that, yeah. Just pacing is definitely what's going to make that difference for some people.
100%. Film Kit F1 was so good. Michael Good blockbuster. Such a good blockbuster. Can't articulate. I'm definitely not watching Jurassic World. Sergey, you're seeing that tomorrow, right?
Well, I might be watching 28 Years Later. I mean, it sounds like the better movie. Maybe. I don't know. Would you think the Jurassic World theater experience is worth it?
I mean, I think
with a very serviceable story at best.
Well, you like Force Awakens, right?
Well, that changes every time I watch it.
It's kind of like that. The story, it hits all the beats of the original Jurassic Park, but because it does that, it's unfortunate. But you can't help but think in your mind like the directing of Gareth Edwards and the directing of Spielberg, because it's trying very hard to emulate like Spielberg's style, but he's not Spielberg. And as much as I love Alexander Desplat, he's not John Williams. And also, it was kind of annoying because I saw it in a regular theater, so maybe it was mixed different in Dolby, but the score was at like the very, very back of the sound mix, so it was just white noise at that point, unfortunately. But
is it the same run of the mill storyline that we've seen in like every other movie?
Yeah, I mean it's tough though because I know you don't like zombie films, and I do know the Jurassic Park series. I know you're a fan of, so it's
Jurassic
tough.
Park. Yeah, like even the third one, I still can watch. It's fine.
I don't know. It's tough though because I think that even if you don't like zombie films, I think it's not it. Marv, would you say zombies really aren't like a big thing with 28 years later? Like it's there, but it's really more so about something else. Without spoiling anything.
I think 28 years later is about a family surviving the zombie wilderness, if you want to call it that.
That's Marv's pitch.
Okay. Well, a more personal side, I think, is more interesting to me than the entertaining kind of horror aspect of zombies running around.
It definitely it has some scenes like that, but I kind of forgot about them because of how well they developed the characters. I mean, it's written by Alex Garland. I think he did a really good job.
Yeah.
I don't know. It impacted me. I thought it was definitely good. I was pleasantly surprised with the themes that it was tackling. Film Kid rewatched the original Texas Chainsaw on Monday, and it went from 4.5 to 5. My man, I love that film. But Film Kid, you got to method view that at some point.
Small. He's got to run around with a chainsaw?
No. Hear me out. I did this 2 years ago. Terrible, great experience. August. It's really hot in August, like 90s, 100 degrees. Turn off the air conditioning. Put the Blu-ray in the Blu-ray player. Watch the movie. You'll be sweating with the characters. You'll feel as if you're with these characters. It's a great experience. Terrible experience, but it's a great experience.
Or just step outside for like 5 seconds in August and then go back into your house.
Yeah, but it's not as immersive. Then you come back in and you're like, oh, I'm all chilled out. You're watching these characters like suffer through the Texas heat, and you're like, oh, glad I'm not them. Bootzilla, Chad, thanks for the likes for F1 and Magazine Dreams on Letterboxd. We had same ratings for both films. Of course, man. I try to support I always tell people Letterboxd is a lot like Instagram, where a like for a like. But also, I, of course, read the reviews. And Magazine Dreams, we shared a lot of the same thoughts. So I'm like, like button. It's a Taxi Driver, but in the world of world building. That movie also, like, my older brother was in that like world, like, weightlifting for a brief stint. So it was like one of those things where the lead character reminded me a lot of my older brother in some instances. So I was like, yeah, this is definitely an interesting, accurate depiction. So, Film Kid, I have a feeling that Marv is not going to like 310. No, Marv likes 310.
I love that movie. That movie is fantastic.
Do you think you'll rewatch it?
Yeah, why? I had to rewatch this. Why wouldn't I rewatch that?
My man, I just want to make sure.
So you thought you were going to make me watch this, and I was going to sit out a movie that I actually like? Are you kidding me?
That means we have to watch all of his movies too. You realize that? Oh, wait a minute. 50 Shades, I hope, did not make it into this list.
I told you can take them off.
Okay.
You had the opportunity to take them off if you wanted to, so you don't have to watch them.
I'll watch.
Now, okay. I think Marv's movies we had.
Was Baby Boy on there?
No.
Okay. Oh wait, Signs. I remember we were talking about that.
Oh dear God, I think you're right.
I own it on Blu-ray, so it's fine. I don't mind watching.
I have to watch that actually this weekend.
Yeah, Signs is on there.
Thank God.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. Yeah, I mean we have some really good ones.
Was the Friday Night Lights on there too?
No, actually, there's one though. There's one on here, The Town. I'll be curious to hear Sergey's thoughts on that.
Oh, I like that movie.
Oh, you've seen The Town?
That's a good. Yeah, the Ben Affleck movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
But
Probably my favorite Ben Affleck directed film.
Yeah, I think it might be mine too. Although Gone Baby Gone's pretty good too. I like that one. Yeah. Marv, you like Gone Baby Gone too, right?
Nah, I actually don't. I don't like Gone Baby Gone. Out of all his movies that he's made, that's the one that I don't like the most.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. I love The Town. Argo's cool. I really love Live by Night. I thought Air was great. I forgot what else he did.
The Town.
The Town, yeah. The Town is
I
awesome.
think that's it.
Did he do The Way Back? Is that his film too?
No,
that
was Gavin O'Connor.
Oh,
That's
okay.
a great movie, though.
It's all right. Honestly, what I remember most about it is the fact that was like one of the last films I saw in theaters before the pandemic hit. And I was I don't think you guys understand how angry I was, where I was like, is the last movie that I'm seeing in a theater going to be a Vin Diesel movie? Like, are you serious? Are you serious?
They just announced Fast and Furious, the last movie.
Yeah. And did you hear who they're bringing back?
Brian O'Connor.
Yeah. They've jumped the shark officially.
They jumped the shark 4 movies ago, dude.
Yeah. Film Kid also says, I say Sergey's photography and great job.
Oh, thanks, man.
Does really good work. Can't articulate. I'm still waiting on the next Fast and Furious film. I haven't had my fill yet. Sergey and I, we experienced that together.
Well, they're going back to street racing supposedly, but they still have to continue the story of the last movie somehow.
The three of us should see that in theaters together.
Well, it's the last one, I hope. So
we should.
Maybe.
You two get gloriously drunk, and I take my little candy. I don't think even that will save the movie. I feel like even then I'll just be like, I think at that point I'll just be yelling random stuff like, "This is so stupid! Like this movie is so bad."
I mean, I only tolerated because Jason Momoa was just having a ball.
Oh yeah, he was in like a totally different movie. Like everyone's like family drama, and he's just like, "Dude, I'm just having fun. I'm just doing my own thing." Film Kid, did you see that Jurassic World is screening a teaser to the Odyssey? I heard about that, and even then, it's not going to convince me to see that movie again. But I did hear about that, and I heard the teaser is really good. It leaked online apparently, but I didn't see it.
Yeah, can't wait for that one.
Angela, my Joe Kaczynski ranking: Top Gun, Only the Brave, Oblivion, F1, Tron, Spider. Head was so repulsive I didn't finish. I refuse to understand. It's in his filmography. Spiderhead, in concept, I found it intriguing. In execution, it's the weakest one in my opinion. But honestly, I think for me, I have a huge soft spot for Tron Legacy and Oblivion, honestly. But I think as a whole, F1 might be his best. It's tough. It's tough ranking his work because all of them I find to be quite enjoyable, but don't love per se. But Tron Legacy changed me. Like that was one of the first films where I started noticing cinematography and score, honestly. So,
are you excited for the new Tron movie that's coming out?
I wasn't until I saw who was composing it. It's Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. So when I saw that, I'm like, okay, so it's at least going to be a visually and audibly amazing experience. So, but that's the only reason why I'm excited. The director, I've only seen one of their work, I believe, which was Pirates of the Caribbean 5. So that has me at some pause.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So
yeah.
But we'll see. Film Kid, The Town is really good and one of my dad's favorites of all time. It's a good choice. Really like that one. Angela, recalling you guys talked about Solaris earlier, I hated it, but I saw a bunch from Soderbergh, though. The recent Black Bag was fun. Aaron Brockovich and Traffic were great. Yeah, Traffic's my favorite of his. I Love that film. But
I
I
need to watch
understand
it.
it's a large for everyone. Oh, yeah, Sergey, you should add Traffic to
Yeah, because that's a Criterion
this
film.
Criterion.
So, yeah.
It's funny though, because I think watching it, even if you don't like it, I think you'll definitely respect it because it heavily inspired Breaking Bad with like the cinematography. There's even a couple story beats that Breaking Bad would use in like season 4. You'll know what I'm talking about when it happens, but it's very it's one of those films where it's very influential, but it doesn't get talked about as much. But in the moment, it got talked about a lot because it picked up, I think it was 4 Oscars, including Best Director. But it's a great film. Marv, do you like Traffic, or did you not see it?
No, we talked about it. I didn't. I don't dislike it. It's just kind of whatever. We spoke about that a while ago. One with Don Cheadle in it.
Yeah. Yep. Don Cheadle's in it. Andrew, like 2000 was really Soderbergh's year, wasn't it? Yeah, I mean, he was up for Best Director for Aaron Brockovich and Traffic. So definitely his year. He was bound to win one of those, but I'm glad. Honestly, as much as I enjoy Aaron Brockovich, I am glad he won for Traffic because, from a directing standpoint, like it's quite ambitious with what he pulls off in that film. Like all those storylines, how they tie together thematically, such a good story. Godzilla, the town was awesome. Yep. Film Kid, has Marv seen Crash?
Which
He's
one?
seen the one about racism. He has not seen the one
Okay.
about car sex.
We
Well,
talked
he
about
wouldn't
that.
have to worry about getting into a car accident.
That's a good point.
He's just get into a freaking subway accident instead.
We should do that. Would be a fun live stream, like us watching Crash, seeing Marv's reactions.
We already talked about Crash on live stream.
No. But there's 2 Crashes. There's Crash, the one about racism, which is the one you've seen, and then there's Crash, the one about car sex. That
Is
one
that
you
the
haven't
one?
seen.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
That's the one where people get in the car crashes and they start realizing that they like getting in car crashes and how it turns them on, which is a real fetish.
That is so fucking dumb.
It's a real fetish. You can look it up.
It's dumb as shit.
Marv is being very close-minded right now. What if Marv's girlfriend is in that? You see, this is... I tell you, Marv. I tell you. Putzilla, I saw Vin Diesel announcing to the crowd that he was bringing Paul Walker back for the next one. And man, Vin is getting fat. Hope he gets the next one.
I'm tired of his shamelessness.
I
hope they cancel that movie.
Don't get Tron 3 gives me some Blade Runner vibes with the visuals. Yeah, it does look visually dazzling. Picked up Barry Lyndon and Transpotting on Criterion Blu-ray. I would have gone with the 4Ks. I mean, Sergey is going to be picking up the 4K.
I know.
Like, really I know the Blu-ray does look great, but if you have the option, it's like you may as well go with the 4K. Film Kid, I'm on season 3, episode 2 of Breaking Bad, and really need to finish it. I've heard that season 3 and onwards is the best of the show. Yep. After the stream, I might watch 2 episodes. 100% should. Bootzilla. Ooh, hot take. I like this. Out of Sight is my favorite Soderbergh. I like that one a lot. Andrew Lay. Aaron Eckhart's biceps and biker look got me really distracted from screaming "Get it, girl" to Julia Roberts the whole movie. Film Kid. Marv, this is a family channel, so please keep it PG-13 at max. Honestly, I don't have it as a family channel. I honestly, my videos, they always ask, like, is this suitable for under 18? And I always say no, because you never know. Plus, I'm like, is someone really, really young going to want to watch, reviews? I'm like, probably not. So that's why I'm just like, 18 and up. But, all right. So we'll get our schedules together. We'll try to try to do a live stream next week talking about 310 to Yuma. So we'll all watch it and then reconvene. Again, we'll talk about our schedules and try to figure out a date to watch 310 to Yuma. But any other things you guys wanted to add about 2001: A Space Odyssey?
Not much. I own it on 4K, and I do prefer to watch it on 4K than our obviously our 70 millimeter viewing. Just appreciate it more for the restoration work that went into making it look as grand as possible, and just kind of amazing what the format has evolved to look, and kind of you take it for granted sometimes.
Even though what we saw was like an older print, like it honestly would have. If we saw it in 1968, it would have looked like what we saw in the 4K. But yeah, I own it on 4K. Again, probably my favorite 4K. But all right, it was a good show, guys. Glad we talked about 2001: A Space Odyssey. On to episode 2 next week, which will be 310 to Yuma. But guys, hope everyone has a good 4th of July, and talk to you guys later.